The Jeep Wrangler, an iconic off-road vehicle with a classic boxy design, has undergone significant transformations in the recent years. One notable change is evident in this 2025 Jeep Wrangler high-altitude 4xe. With all the changes that Jeep has made to this Wrangler, is this still a better choice than the Ford Bronco or the Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid? Let's go ahead and find out. Let's begin with the pricing and the trim level because I admit this can get a little messy with a Wrangler. You can get the gas version of the Wrangler in either 2 doors or 4 doors, and you have many different powertrains and many different trim levels you can choose from. For the 4xe, you're going to start with the Sport S, which is obviously quite a lot more expensive than the regular gas Wrangler, about $20,000 more expensive actually, and then you can get all the way up to the Rubicon X, which starts at about $70,000. We have the most luxurious one known as the high altitude. So this one is going to start at about $65,000 and as tested today, we are sitting at $71,000. Not cheap for a Jeep Wrangler, but let's see if the features on the exterior and the interior can justify the $71,000 price tag. Starting with the exterior design, you're going to have the iconic 7-slot grille design with blue tow hooks for the 4xe. All your fenders are going to be body colored, and as far as the headlights are concerned, they're going to be fully LED. The daytime running lights are going to be circular. You're going to have reflective style LED headlamps, and you're going to have an LED turn signal. Fog lights are also included on most versions of the Wrangler. Moving to the wheels, you're going to find these large 20-inch alloy wheels with an aero insert for more efficiency. Of course, this being a Wrangler, you're going to need to have all-terrain tires so that you can go on any terrain. Obviously, it's not the best idea to go with this trim level if you know that you are going to be off-roading frequently. Moving on to the side profile, you are going to find body-colored fenders and running boards to ease your entry. The badges are going to be in blue for the 4xe model, and your charging port is also on the left side. Your mirrors have heating and blind spot monitoring, but power folding and auto dimming are not included on any Wrangler. Moving to the back, you are once again going to find a blue tow hook and a trailer hitch with the Jeep logo. There is going to be a spare tire, of course, and I really like how they integrated the backup camera into it. The taillights are going to be fully LED, which is pretty nice to see on a modern Jeep. You're going to get an LED brake light, an LED reverse light, and an LED turn signal integrated with the brake light. Now let's take a look at this green colored interior and see what $71,000 gets you on the inside of a Wrangler. I'm gonna voice over this part because it was quite windy outside at the time of filming. I don't have that many expectations for the inside because this is, after all, a Wrangler. It is more focused on off-roading. The door panel is going to get you soft touch plastic on the upper part. Your mirror controls are right there. You're going to have your power lock and unlock controls. Your armrest is going to be in leather with yellow stitching, and you get this studded pocket at the bottom to put whatever you want in there. There is going to be a running board, like I mentioned, on the outside to ease your entry, and your seats are going to be made of Nappa leather. This is going to be quilted very specially for the high altitude model. They are going to be heated, not ventilated, but they are also going to be 12-way power adjusting. While the interior of the Jeep Wrangler is relatively modern, they still have an analog feel to things because they still have physical buttons, and as you can see, the gauge cluster is not completely digital. Starting with the steering wheel, you're going to find a very nicely weather-wrapped and heated steering wheel with some yellow stitching. On the left side are going to be gauge cluster controls, and the right side is going to be controls for your safety systems. The gauge cluster is going to be mostly analog with a digital display in the center. You can control that with the left side of the steering wheel. So you have multiple different functions for this. You can scroll through a lot of information. So I think that is very nice that they're integrating that, but I do like that they still have 2 analog gauges. One is your tachometer and one is your other hybrid gauge. Materials in the Jeep Wrangler high altitude are relatively good. You're going to find some green leatherettes with some yellow stitching, more black leatherette in the center area with white stitching, and then the rest is matte plastic from the buttons to all the materials in the center area. The storage in the Jeep Wrangler is not too bad either. You're going to find 2 cup holders with a phone holder that is good enough to fit an iPhone 16 Pro Max. There's going to be another cubby right in here. And when you lift up the center console, there's going to be a good amount of space with the USB port. In the center area, I also want to mention the manual handbrake right here. This very chunky gear selector. And this is going to control your 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive setup. Now the window switches are actually over here. You can lock the windows by turning that dial down. And these are going to be 1 touch down, but not 1 touch up. So this is going to be the driver's window. This is going to be your driver's window right here. So if I push it down, the window is going to go down. But as you can see, I have to hold it so that it goes up. Now this is the passenger window and this is the 2 back windows. There's going to be controls for your 4 aux ports. And then you have a 12-volt socket right there. And you're going to find 2 more USB ports and an aux jack. It's interesting that the Jeep Wrangler still has an aux jack, but I hope they never take it away. As you can see, the climate controls are going to be completely physical. It's going to be dual zone on every Wrangler, and I really like how you can use the buttons and these chunky knobs with gloves on. There's going to be a volume button, and the dial is to control the volume of whatever is playing. And then you get your front and rear defrost right there. If you want to use the screen, just click comfort, and then everything is going to pop up. You get the fan speed down there, and these icons of the people are going to be for your different modes. So as you can see, everything works pretty solidly. Moving on to the infotainment system, this is going to be the Stellantis latest Uconnect 5 infotainment system. It's going to work very smoothly. It's going to have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, built-in navigation, and then obviously you have Sirius XM and a bunch of different radio stations. You can actually customize all the different widgets you have. So I could put something like powerful, and then that is going to show up right there. So I really like the customization that you get in the Wrangler. Also, I forgot to mention that you have a Wi-Fi hotspot. Gear selector is going to be found in the center area. I really like the shape of it, and it feels pretty good in the hand. To go into drive, you're going to push in on the red button behind it and go all the way down. And for reverse, it's going to be 1 notch down. That's going to bring up a very high resolution backup camera with active trajectory. While there is no 360-degree view, I like that there is a front view at least. When you back up close to an object, that's going to activate the parking sensors. It's going to pop up in the gauge cluster. But I think it would be helpful if they put a warning on the infotainment system or the center display, because that's where people are going to be looking when they're reversing. Now this next thing is actually something that is very important for the Jeep Wrangler. You can use the infotainment system with gloves on. I think that is so clever, and it's not the first time I've seen this. I know the Toyota Sequoia and the Toyota Tundra have this, but it's very helpful, especially if you are going off-roading and it's very cold and you don't want to take your gloves off when you're using the infotainment system. Taking a look up top, this is going to be something that you are not going to see in your everyday car. Yes, you do get a normal auto-dimming rearview mirror. It is not digital in any way, it's just a normal rearview mirror. Now, this top part does not look very similar to any other car except for the Gladiator. That is because when I push this button, it's going to open up, and you have to hold it down until it gets halfway, or else it's just going to stop. I think this is so cool because you can transform your SUV into something like a convertible. I get that the Jeep Wrangler is not the only one with a removable top, but I think it's just so cool that you can just press a button and the whole thing is going to go back on its own. That's just crazy. And of course, being a Wrangler, you're going to have the ability to take off the doors. Now let's take a look at the passenger side and see what kind of features are on the other side of the Jeep Wrangler. The door panel is going to be basically the same, so you get green leather with yellow stitching, a knitted pocket, and soft touch plastic up top. The seats will also be the same, so you get Napa leather with quilting, heating, and 12-way power adjusting. Now that we're inside the Jeep Wrangler, again, let's talk about what you get on the passenger side. This is going to be a handle, even though it looks very much like a storage cubby. You're also going to get this green leatherette with yellow contrast stitching, and then your vent is going to be located on the right side. There's also another handle up here in case the driver is doing some crazy shenanigans off-road. Of course, your seat is going to be heated on the passenger side, and coming to the glove box, this is a very disappointing area of the Wrangler. You're not going to fit a lot in here, and certainly not as much as a normal car. Every other Jeep, besides the Gladiator, is going to have a larger glove box than this, and I have no idea why they ended up designing it like this. Yeah, that speaker to the right is not real at all, and I don't know why they ended up putting it there. It doesn't look that cool because it's not even metal, and it's really going to take a hit on versatility. Also, who would put a speaker right there, right next to the glove box? That just doesn't make sense. Now let's move on to the rear seats and see what you get in the back. The door panel is going to be basically the same. You can take off the door itself and you get green Napa leather and a knitted pocket. The seats are going to be made of the same quilted Napa leather. You don't get heating, but they are still pretty comfortable overall. Now here's why I kind of think this is a disappointing part of any Jeep Wrangler. First of all, look at how much legroom I have. I barely have an inch of legroom, and this passenger seat is slid pretty far forward. Also, in the center here, it's not going to be looking too nice. Everything is black plastic, which is kind of to be expected in a Jeep product, but it just really doesn't look nice. Also, I have no idea what those things are down there. You get your window switches down here, and you also get two vents. In the center armrest, you're going to find two cup holders and a nice Napa leather armrest. You also get a netted pocket, which is good for practicality, but it can wear out over time. Now the real interesting thing is what's happening above. You get two speaker grills above each passenger and the tiniest of lights you'll ever see in a car. Because we have the automatic opening roof, you're going to have a lot of headroom. That is how much headroom I have, so you'll definitely be comfortable. Also, to open the windows, they are also going to be in the center like you get up front. Alright, now it is time to talk about the cargo area in the Jeep Wrangler. Of course, this being a Wrangler, you are going to have a swing-out tailgate, and I have to say it does require a little bit more heft than you would expect. If you want better accessibility into the cargo area, you are going to have to lift up the back window. The hybrid battery does compromise the space a little bit, so you get 27.7 cubic feet of space behind the second row and 67.4 when you fold down the seats. You are going to have some nice amenities back here. First of all, there is going to be a little bit of storage on each side, and you get an Alpine subwoofer. Also, there is going to be a charging cable for this plug-in hybrid battery. You can charge this at your house, in your garage, or outside if you have a plug on the outside of your house. And then there is going to be a little bit of underfloor storage. There is going to be a pretty good amount of space back here, and I think that it is pretty impressive considering that this is not a very large car. Now let's talk about the powertrain in this Jeep Wrangler 4xe. Usually with cars like electric cars where there is nothing to see under the hood, I provide a front end view of the car like I am doing right now. But with this Jeep Wrangler, there is something to see under the hood, but I couldn't open the hood because when I was filming, it was less than 5 degrees outside and the latches froze in place. Now with the Jeep Wrangler, you guys probably know that you don't open the hood with a single latch inside the car. You actually have to go on each side of the hood and unlatch the latches that are provided. This is something that is signature to the Jeep Wrangler, and it is an iconic thing, but it can be inconvenient when they freeze like they did right now. Anyway, we are going to talk about the powertrain in the Jeep Wrangler. So you get a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine paired to 2 electric motors. You get 375 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque combined. All of that is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And for the gas engine, you get about 20 miles per gallon combined, which is not amazing for a 4-cylinder engine. But if you count in the electric motors, you get 49 mpg equivalent, which is pretty good. Also, you are going to get 22 miles of electric-only range. Now let's talk about the competition for the Jeep Wrangler. Now, this isn't really going to relate to the 4xe model because other brands haven't really caught on to that. But there is going to be the Toyota 4Runner, the Toyota Land Cruiser that is also a hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid, but a regular hybrid, the Ford Bronco, and the lower trims of the Land Rover Defender. All of those are valid competitors to this Wrangler. But if you want a plug-in hybrid one, the Wrangler is your only choice. This Wrangler is 188 inches long and 74 inches wide. Well, that is going to wrap up today's video on this 2025 Jeep Wrangler High Altitude 4xe. The Wrangler is a solid car overall. However, I recommend against purchasing a hybrid model due to recent recalls and concerns about its reliability. I could make a separate video about the Wrangler's reliability, especially this plug-in hybrid models, but I won't do that anytime soon. You can check that out in a separate video. Also, there have been concerns about its safety because it got a 1-star when it was tested by the IIHS. A gas-powered model would be a better choice if you are looking at a Wrangler in general, but the Ford Bronco is also a pretty good option. You get solid tech, you can take off the doors, and you also have this choice between a soft top or a hard top. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.